Our female lead is a girl named Hu Thin, who has an adorable appearance. However, after a small accident. In the past, her operating system is a bit glitchy, as cool as a Hanoi autumn. The male lead is a werewolf with a handsome, dark appearance and an incredibly mysterious personality. The two of them seem to have no connection whatsoever until our male lead, Yin, accidentally saved Hu Thin. The story would be very touching if it ended here. However, the chilling twist comes later when Hu Thin accidentally learns his earth-shattering secret. From then on, the two of them develop an inescapable, tangled relationship. Is there any truth hidden behind it all? And what is Hu Thin's true identity? Let's find out together. On March 2nd, in Waiso County, Kaibak City, 2 fatal beast attacks occurred. Local police stated the deceased was a local villager named Kwong Mo Tuong, 65 years old. According to the autopsy report, the victims suffered broken bones, with no part of the body left intact, and his heart was eaten by the beast. The scene was extremely brutal. Due to its elusive movements, the police have not yet found any trace of the beast, making it very difficult to guess the animal species. At number 40 High School in Kaingwin City, after reading this article, Hu Thin exclaimed, "How scary! There have been quite a few strange cases recently. A beast has appeared in the suburbs? No, that's not important. What's important is since the school is renovating the warehouse. Can they give me these old newspapers?" While lost in thought, suddenly a few excited voices rang out nearby. Ooh, I wonder if a new construction worker will come fix the rain shelter. I'm really into guys with that kind of wild vibe. How tall is he? Over 1.8 meters, at least 1.9 meters or more. It's just that sometimes he can feel a bit scary. When his eyes sweep over you, it gives you an urge to run away. The 3 female students were chatting when suddenly one of them, a girl with short hair, glanced to the side. As soon as she saw Hu Thin, she spoke in a domineering tone. "Yo, isn't this Hu Thin? What are you looking at? Is this idiot picking up trash again?" Hearing this, Hu Thin's eyes widened as she looked at Ha Huin and held out the stack of newspapers. "Trash, this? This is worth 5 cents a pound. If you find an older issue, it's worth even more. It's all money, you know. You really don't understand how the world works." The more Hu Thin thought about it, the more absorbed she became. She felt she was being brilliant, and she didn't care if no one else understood. But this proud look of hers, in Ha Huin's eyes, was an act of insult towards her. Hu Thin was both scolding and mocking her. Thinking this, Ha Huin's anger flared up. She strode arrogantly towards Hu Thin, angrily asking her, "What do you mean by that? You get a sense of superiority from digging through trash?" Hu Thin was clueless, not understanding what was happening. She was afraid of Ha Huin, so she subconsciously backed away. She allowed a confused "huh," and this "huh" only angered Ha Huin more. "What do you mean, huh? In middle school, you used a head injury to pretend to be an idiot, and now in high school, you're still playing the same trick, right?" As she spoke, Ha Huin advanced. Stemming from the instinct of someone being bullied, Hu Thin didn't think and just backed away until she hit the fence behind her. Immediately after, Hu Thin lost her balance and fell. Just when she thought she was about to have a nasty fall, suddenly a young man jumped onto a nearby ladder. From the other side of the fence, he forcefully grabbed the collar of Hu Thin's shirt with one hand. Long legs perched on a ladder, muscles bulging all over, plus an all-black outfit. His aura was both cold and wild. The rescued Hu Thin looked at the man with a dazed face, wondering, "Who is this?" The young man was also looking at Hu Thin. His delicate face was hidden by a hat, but it couldn't hide his blazing red, bloodthirsty eyes. After a moment, he faintly uttered a few words. "Stay away." The 3 girls who were causing trouble earlier felt a bit intimidated upon seeing the man. "Ah, that's the maintenance guy from the logistics team." At that moment, Yin tossed Hu Thin aside. He said, "This area is under construction." The 3 girls were startled just by the tone of his voice and retreated in a panic. "We're leaving right now. Let's go." After they left, Hu Thin stood there, as if rooted to the spot, staring at Yin. Only then did she notice a scratch on his hand, apparently from saving her. Seeing Hu Thin just standing there staring at him, Yan's face turned cold as he turned to ask her, "Is there anything else?" Hearing this, Hu Thin bolted, then remembered to shout loudly, "I'm sorry." She ran without daring to look back, her heart in a panic. Why does he give people such a bone-chilling feeling? But he did save me. Thinking this, Hu Thin who was running at full speed, stopped. Yin, having put away the ladder, was about to head back when he suddenly felt something sticky on the back of his hand. Looking down, he saw the little girl from before, carefully applying a band-aid for him. After she finished, Hu Fin bowed and said sincerely and clearly, thank you. Then, without waiting for him to respond, Hu Fin took off running for her life again, as if she had seen a ghost. He was, indeed, still very scary. Yin watched her rapidly retreating figure, then lowered his gaze to the chibi band-aid on his hand, his cold face expressionless. After school, a loud, resentful voice echoed from behind the school. "What bad luck, having to clean the backyard with you again." As she spoke, Ha Huin threw the broom at Hu Fin while she herself put on her backpack, preparing to climb over the gate to sneak out, her voice full of disgust. "I don't want to be in the same place as you. Sweep it yourself. If you don't want to get scolded by the teacher, sweep it clean." Hu Fin looked at Ha Huin, wanting to say something, but hesitating, but finally decided to speak. You. But before she could get the words out, Ha Huin turned and glared at Hu Fin. "What? It's useless even if you tell the teacher. The camera here has been broken for a long time, so there won't be any evidence. Also, you're forbidden from telling anyone I climbed the wall." Hu Fin shook her head, pointing downwards. She said, "No, the back gate isn't locked. You don't actually have to climb." With that, she walked over and opened the gate, looking at Ha Huin as if to say, "This is what I wanted to tell you." Hearing this, Ha Huin was utterly embarrassed. She was already halfway over and couldn't stop now, as that would be even more embarrassing. After landing, Ha Huin left, but not before fiercely scolding Hu Fin. "I like climbing. Mind your own business, you meddler." As the sun gradually set, Hu Fin was still diligently sweeping. At that moment, she suddenly remembered something. "The maintenance guy was there earlier. I forgot to ask if I could take the newspapers. I'll have to ask him next time I see him." While thinking, Hu Fin had just finished sweeping the last pile of trash and was about to tidy up and go home. Then, suddenly, a piercing scream rang out, and this frantic, agitated sound caught Hu Fin's attention. She knew right away it was from that troublesome person, but screaming so loudly. Hu Fin also felt worried and decided to go check it out. However, she was a bit hesitant. If she sees me, will she get angry again? Strange. Why does she get so agitated every time she sees me? While thinking, Hu Fin quickly walked deeper into the woods. Afraid of seeing something scary, she hid behind a tree, only to witness a much more brutal scene. Ha Huin was lying in a pool of blood, and a very large black wolf was standing there. Seeing the wolf, Hu Fin wondered, "What is that? It looks like a wolf. But can a wolf's body be that big?" Afraid of being discovered, Hu Fin squatted down, covering her mouth with both hands, and turned her head away, not daring to look directly. She was afraid of being found, and that her fate would be the same as Ha Huin's. But at that moment, as the sky was calm, a strong wind suddenly rose, and the trees shook violently. Hu Fin felt something strange, and turned back to look, only to find the large wolf gradually disappearing. A moment later, a human figure was revealed, and this person was someone Hu Fin knew, the maintenance guy who had saved her that morning. But if he looked scary by a factor of 10 then, now it was 100. His face was stained with blood, his small face completely exposed. Pointed ears, firm abs, he glanced at Hu Fin and said faintly, "What little mouse has run in here?" Immediately after, a glint flashed in his eyes. He launched himself, grabbing onto the tree where Hu Fin was hiding, facing her, his tone teasing. "Yo, gotcha. In that case, you'll be eaten." Hu Fin was so scared, she sat frozen to the spot. As Yan's hand was about to grab her, she screamed in her mind, "Am I really going to die?" Suddenly, on instinct, Hu Fin covered her face with her arms. She screamed in panic, "If you're hungry, can't you eat something else?" Hearing this, Yan's hand suddenly stopped in midair. Looking at the trembling prey before him, he found it a bit amusing. He tried to maintain his cool, scary demeanor, but couldn't help letting out a snort of laughter. Hearing this somewhat cheerful sound, Hu Fin became a little bolder and peeked her eyes open. Yin looked at her and said in a low voice, "What do you want me to eat? Eat that, and I'll let you go." As he spoke, he pointed towards Ha Huin. Hu Fin quickly shook her head. No, can we talk? I mean, a wolf's hearing is very sensitive. A series of voices and footsteps suddenly reached Yan's ears. The guards have found their way here. The broom is on the ground. The fallen leaves haven't been cleaned up, and the back gate is still open. Some student must have snuck out. Yin suddenly tilted his head, staring thoughtfully at the bewildered Hu Thin, who had no idea what was going on. After a moment, he said self-mockingly, "It seems you're very lucky." Hu Thin's eyes widened, her brow furrowed in confusion. Yin raised his hand and made a zipping motion across his lips, his eyes full of warning. Even an idiot would understand what he meant. Hu Thin's face turned pale as she stared at him. Suddenly, Yin reached out, causing Hu Thin to flinch in fear. In the next moment, his large hand completely enveloped Hu Thin's neck as if holding a small prey. Hu Thin was slightly lifted off the ground by Yin. His voice was full of threat. "Watch your mouth. If I hear you say anything you shouldn't, you won't be so lucky next time." As soon as he finished speaking, Yin cast some kind of spell that made Hu Thin faint. Then, a living person suddenly vanished, as if she had never existed. A long while later, the police arrived at the scene. "Hey, is it a student from number 40 high school over there? Quick, quick, get her to the hospital." At the same time, after leaving, Yin went to a mountain. He stood before a skeleton that seemed to be hanging, silently looking at it. After a moment, a voice called out to him. "Yin, I heard your form was seen by someone." Yin remained silent. After a moment, two wolves suddenly appeared, one black and one gray. Then, the gray wolf transformed into a human, a beautiful woman. She asked Yin, "It seems it was a little girl. Have you taken care of it?" Yin replied faintly, "Your news travels fast." The wolf beside them heard this and replied, "Don't underestimate Sister Hai's information network." Yin said coldly, "She's just a small human, and she wasn't recorded by their electronic devices." Hai cut in, "So you're confident she won't talk?" Yin sneered, "They're all the same. When they encounter unexplainable things, they start spouting nonsense. Who among their own kind would believe them? Or some start praying to their gods. But it's a pity. Their god is just a thief." Hai and the wolf looked silently at Yin, without saying anything. Yin turned his back to them and continued. "But the most fun part is when some of them get so scared their minds break. Then they cower and pretend to be idiots." Hearing this, the wolf couldn't help but comment, "Second brother, toying with prey is a cat's behavior." Yin glanced at it indifferently. "And it's not bad as a toy." The wolf retorted, "Second brother, dogs are the ones who like to play with toys." Hai, standing beside them, couldn't listen anymore, afraid there would be a murder in the next second. So she kindly reminded the wolf, "Yin, shut your mouth." As soon as she finished speaking, Yin coldly walked over and kicked the wolf away, causing it to yelp in confusion. After a moment, Hai became serious. She said to Yin, "We can't be discovered. Their weapons are too advanced. They could destroy us at any time. Just make sure you know what you're doing." With that, she handed something to Yin, saying it was for him. Yin turned his head to look. Hai said, "Passed down in our clan, a fragment of the heart. I found a way to get it. Keep it safe. If you lose it, even I can't protect you." Yin looked at the glowing object and reached out to take it, even taking a moment to examine it. Then he said in a low voice, "Thanks." Hai once again reminded Yin, "Use it to find the gatekeeper. Find him to protect this heart. Only then will we, our kind, have a chance to continue surviving." In the quiet night, Yin stood silently. He looked up at the sky, thinking of his mother. Suddenly, the fragment reacted. Its rays of light touched the Band-Aid. Yin sensed something and turned his head to look. Then he showed the fragment to the other two. They were also surprised, not expecting a reaction so quickly. Yin looked at the fragment blankly, then let out a self-deprecating laugh. "This thing isn't very accurate. The gatekeeper is a Band-Aid? That's too abstract. Ha, I don't believe it." Seeing that the wolf didn't understand, Yin took the time to explain what he had experienced that afternoon. After a while, Yin understood everything. He asked, puzzled, "This is an item left by the little girl who saw you, but could the gatekeeper be an ordinary human with no powers at all?" Yin smiled. "It seems we need to confirm a few things." The next evening, using his clan's abilities, Yin quickly located Hu Thin's house. He stood on the roof, looking down at the grounds below, assessing in his mind. The house is quite large, isn't it? The security is tight too. This little girl is actually a young lady of a wealthy family. After finding Hu Thin's room, Yin peeked in from outside. After watching for a while, he was a bit confused. What is this kid doing? Inside, Hu Thin was fiddling with something. After setting up the last piece, she nodded. "Very good. 1, 2, 3. When the time comes like this, and then like that, and that. Then clink, clank. That way it will make a sound from any position. Catching him is definitely impossible, but at least if he comes, I can wake up. Yin looked at the inescapable net that Hu Fin had set up. He thought to himself, are you trying to catch a mouse? But he never would have guessed that the person she wanted to catch was him. This was made specifically to deal with that smelly man in black. This way, she might have a glimmer of hope to escape. If she's lucky, she might even be able to take a picture with her camera, then the police wouldn't be able to disbelieve that he could turn into an animal. And all of Hu Fin's murmurs reached the ears of the smelly man in black outside. He smirked coldly. That's right, because of this kid, I was interrogated all afternoon. Just thinking about it is annoying. Immediately, Yin had an idea. He started playing a trick to tease Hu Fin. After a moment, Yin mumbled some mysterious incantation. A wisp of white smoke emerged from his finger, and he gently blew it inside. Immediately, several rooms began to shake. Violently, Hu Fin couldn't stand it and covered her ears. Then, her array of traps fell apart, scattering everywhere. Hu Fin looked at the mess, her face dark. It's all gone down the drain. Seeing her expression inside, someone outside was secretly pleased. He grinned, trying to suppress his laughter. After a moment, Yin took out the fragment to check it. There was something very strange. Why wasn't the fragment reacting at all? At that moment, as Hu Fin was cleaning up the mess, she accidentally picked up a mirror. Suddenly, her face turned pale, and beads of sweat dripped down. Meanwhile, Yin was still wondering, am I standing too far away, or is the fragment unrelated to her, which is why there's no reaction? While he was pondering this, she was filled with an indescribable fear, because Hu Fin had seen his reflection through that mirror, and at that moment his eyes were also staring at her in the mirror. Her heart pounded with terror. What should I do? It seems I've been targeted by that person. Ha Huin is probably still recovering in the hospital. Thinking of this, she unconsciously swallowed, then glanced towards the door. I have to do something. Acting on her thought, Hu Fin immediately threw the mirror down, tried to run out, and open the door to escape as fast as possible. Seeing this, Yin outside also quickly opened the window and jumped in. Just as Hu Fin's hand was about to touch the handle, her voice ready to let out the loudest scream for help, her hand was suddenly grabbed. One of Yan's hands caught her hand. The other covered her mouth, completely restraining Hu Fin. At that moment, his voice, tinged with danger, rang out. I told you, don't say things you shouldn't. You're quite brave, turning around and immediately reporting to the police. Hearing this, Hu Fin was extremely shocked. I clearly told the police his description. Why couldn't they catch him? Hu Fin felt death approaching. She began to struggle, but it was useless. He's too strong. I can't move at all. Suddenly, the sound of approaching footsteps came from outside, followed by a knock on Hu Fin's door. Hu Fin stared at the door. Someone is here. Immediately after, a middle-aged woman's voice called from outside. Young miss, are you all right? I heard a loud earthquake-like noise just now. After speaking, the maid still didn't hear Hu Fin reply, and called her again, a bit anxiously. Hu Fin stared helplessly at the door, screaming internally, here, I'm here. But right now, only God could hear her thoughts. The maid waited a little longer and finally lost her patience, turning the doorknob, her voice announcing, then I'm coming in. As soon as the door opened, the maid saw Hu Fin and immediately asked, young miss, are you all right? Hu Fin stood there looking at her, her face still dotted with sweat from fear. However, her eyes were incredibly clear. She hummed a yes in response, I'm fine. But the moment the maid saw her state, her heart twisted. She walked towards Hu Fin, took her hand, and started rolling up her sleeve, her voice full of complaint. Oh, young miss, your sleeve. If the master sees this, he will scold you. After dealing with the master's daughter, now it was the master's house. Looking down at the floor, she became a little heated. What is all this on the floor? Did you go picking up scrap again? Really, how dare you still go? Have you forgotten what happened before? Honestly, in the end, it's me who has to clean it up. Seeing the maid clear away all her hard work in an instant, Hu Fin was heartbroken. She asked in a small voice, do you really have to take it all away? Maybe leave a little for me. The maid was helpless with her. Young miss, please don't joke with me. Meanwhile, Yin, hiding outside and listening to their conversation, also felt puzzled. This young lady is truly strange. A while later, after finishing the cleaning, the maid left, not forgetting to remind Hu Fin to rest early before she went. After the door was closed, Yin climbed in from outside. He smiled at Hu Fin's obedient back, his voice teasing, you're quite obedient, not saying a single word about me. Hu Fin remained frozen to the spot. She replied, because didn't you say you'd take away anyone who discovered you? But why? You were the one who attacked my friend, right? But you didn't eat her. I saw the scene of your assault. You didn't harm me, but you followed me. What do you really want? What is all this for? After voicing all her curiosities, Hu Thin nervously swallowed, her body trembling uncontrollably. What do I do now? I don't even know what he is. After hearing Hu Thin's series of questions, Yin smiled and hummed an agreement that, of course, it's because it's interesting. Compared to eating them directly, the prey's trembling body, the sound of their screams, and not knowing when danger will strike, the sight of them living in constant fear. All of that is what we find enjoyable. Even though she knew the person in front of her was no good, hearing him say that still made Hu Thin furious. Her small hands clenched into fists, and she cursed him, pervert, murderer, sooner or later you'll be caught. As soon as that hot-tempered girl wakes up, she'll identify you again. If two people say you're the culprit, someone will surely believe it. But for now, thinking of this, Hu Thin decided to save herself first. Immediately, she tried to fall to the floor as naturally as possible. She closed her eyes, accepting her pitiful fate. If you want to bite or tear, just do it quickly. I can't fight back. I can't run away. So just get it over with. Finish me off. Yin was a bit surprised by the girl's silly action. In the next moment, he laughed so hard his stomach hurt, so much that he had to sit down to laugh because standing felt too awkward. Hu Thin was completely defeated. She turned her head in despair. All right, come and destroy me. After a hearty laugh, Yin spoke, offering a compromise to Hu Thin. Lie still, close your eyes, cooperate with me, and I won't harm you. Also, I'll give you a chance to escape from me. Deal. Hearing this, a glimmer of hope ignited in Hu Thin's heart. She squeezed her eyes shut, but her face couldn't hide her tension. She wondered, could there be such a good deal? But it seems the situation isn't so bad anymore. Seeing Hu Thin being so obedient, Yin now began to confirm his suspicions. He took out the fragment, but after waiting for a while, it still didn't react. Could it really be just because of that Band-Aid? Besides her, who else has touched it? The pharmacy staff or the manufacturer? Then the search range would be very wide. Could there be some issue I haven't noticed? As he thought, Yin brought the fragment to touch Hu Thin. Immediately, rays of light unexpectedly appeared from the fragment, and then it seemed to vanish, or more accurately, it entered Hu Thin's body. At this moment, Hu Thin felt something strange in her body. She sat up abruptly, asking in a panic, what was that? Then she noticed the white lights on her hand. Hu Thin was bewildered. What is this vein-like thing? Something is moving. Immediately after, a puff of white smoke suddenly appeared. In an instant, Yin revealed his true form in front of Hu Thin. She looked at the large black wolf, then backed away in fear. At the same time, Yin transformed back to normal. He looked at her and questioned, what kind of monster are you? Hu Thin was dumbfounded. She looked at him, both wary and distant, encountering for the first time someone who plays the victim after committing a crime. Brother, you're the one who looks like what you'd call a monster. Yin looked at her with cold eyes. She doesn't have the scent of my kind on her. She's clearly just an ordinary person. The fragment reacted to her belongings, but not to her. Now it has even absorbed the fragment and even my body. Thinking of something, Yin reached out and carried Hu Thin towards the window. Hu Thin struggled, screamed, put me down. Didn't you say you'd let me go if I listened? Yin frowned, his voice full of disgust as he lectured her. Shut up. You're so noisy. You think I want to get involved with you? So stupid and troublesome. With that, Yin nimbly leaped across the tall buildings, carrying Hu Thin away. Hu Thin was terrified. Where are you taking me? Yin answered honestly, the wolf's den, so we can study what on earth you are. And so, in the middle of the night, Yin just kept carrying the girl on his shoulder, leaping clumsily over the houses. After a while, he suddenly stopped midway. Hu Thin looked in the direction he was looking with some confusion. She saw two people sneaking around. Were they thieves or his kind? While Hu Thin was still thinking, Yin had already taken her to a nearby tree. He left her dangling like a small koala, telling her, stay put here, then turned and jumped down. Hu Thin watched Yin's actions. After a moment, she was a little dissatisfied, but I want to move. At the same time, after landing on the ground, Yin quickly grabbed one of the men by the head. He threw the person, causing them to reveal their true form. The other wolf lay still, looking at Yin, its voice pleading. Yin, don't. We were just following that other guy. We weren't paying attention, and that's why we barged in here. Yin's hands and feet were busy. After dealing with one, he grabbed the other by the neck and dragged him furiously across the ground. He looked at the other wolf, his voice ice cold. Oh, so you know this is our clan's territory. You knew but still dared to come. and cause trouble. Who gave you the guts? With that, he glanced at the gasping person in his hand, his muscles tensing as if to crush the other's neck. The person let out a terrible cry, which quickly died down. Meanwhile, Hu Thin, sitting in the tree, was also watching the situation below. She strained her eyes to see, then sighed to herself. I can't see anything clearly. I don't know what's happening. That drunk man is safe now. Hu Thin was truly too naive. Your man just took care of them, girl, but she thought Yin was helping people. She remembered the first time they met. When she almost fell, he was the one who saved her. In the end, is he a killer or a savior? He's truly a hard person to understand. Wait a minute, can I even use the word person to refer to him? So strange. Hu Thin's thoughts drifted further and further. Wait, maybe you won't be able to come back right away. At the same time, down below, Yin had finished dealing with the two, beating them to death. Aswan and Hai walked over cheerfully. Aswan looked at the upright figure over there and called out happily, Yin, but that's life. Just because you're happy to see someone doesn't mean they're happy to see you, and Yin was one of those. As soon as he saw Aswan's foolish face, he planted a foot right on it, his tone scolding, two intruders at the same time. Is this how you patrol the territory? Aswan's face contorted from a lecture, but he patiently explained, it's because they left their scent in many places, so it took me a long time to find them. Hearing this, Yin sneered. Ha, you've learned the cunning ways of humans. At this moment, Hai spoke up. She said, I'm very busy today. What's so urgent that you had to call me here? Yin's tone suddenly became serious. There's good news and bad news. The good news is we might have found the gatekeeper. The fragment's reaction was very strong. You probably won't believe it, but the reaction at that time was truly intense. The bad news is she absorbed the fragment, and besides that, there's another very troublesome matter. The moment the fragment was absorbed, it seems a part of my body was also taken by her. Hearing this, both Aswan and Hai froze, staring wide-eyed at Yin. You say that again. Right at this moment, Yin suddenly reverted to his original form, his fur flying everywhere. Seeing this, Aswan laughed his head off, not forgetting to tease. Why is second brother suddenly striking an artistic pose? Hai also joined in the fun. That looks cool. Are you a teenage brat to be playing around like this? Yin snorted in annoyance, then turned to look towards the gate. Thanks to his excellent night vision, he knew very well that the kid Hu Thin had run away. Aswan didn't understand. Who ran away? Hai answered calmly, the girl from earlier, right? You're covered in her scent. Yin didn't answer them. He quickly went to find Hu Thin. A moment later, he had caught her very quickly. Based on the story Yin told and the recent events, Hai also understood everything. So, the current situation is that a part of your body and a fragment have been taken by this human. As long as you're not near her, you won't be able to maintain your human form. It will take quite some time to find a way to get the fragment out. So before that, starting from now, you cannot leave her side for even a second. Hearing this, Yin turned to look at Hu Thin with a slightly wicked expression, while Hu Thin got goosebumps. She screamed frantically in her mind, I don't want to stalk her like this. Scene changed to a vast, desolate field, green grass, white clouds, yellow sun. A mother wolf cares for her cub. The space is incredibly peaceful. Hu Thin was silent. Shouldn't a wolf's den be like this? Why is it like this? The surrounding scene made Hu Thin question her existence. A house with all the basic amenities, neatly arranged, completely unlike a place where big, black, smelly wolves would live. At this moment, Aswan saw Yin entering the house with his outdoor slippers on and reminded him with some dissatisfaction. Second brother, change into your slippers. I just mopped the floor today. Hearing this, Hu Thin fell into a silent void. They even change into slippers. This is utterly strange. And also, these big dogs, they just enter the house like that. Even though it's on the outskirts of the city, aren't they afraid the neighbors will see? Moreover, they brought me here. Are they really not afraid I'll report them? Hu Thin's thoughts wandered. A moment later, she looked up to sneak a peek at Yin and was surprised to find he was also looking at her. Hu Thin was startled. He seemed to read her mind, saying mockingly, if we dared to bring you here, of course we're not afraid you'll talk. Hu Thin, having her thoughts exposed, let out a sound. Are you a mind reader? Yin casually turned his head back and continued. If you don't believe me, you can try. Just like when you called the police on me. It's all useless. Hu Thin stood there, stunned. She vaguely asked why. Yin looked at her indifferently, as if challenging her, you guess. Seeing Yin's completely dismissive attitude, Hu Thin trembled with anger. Her hand unconsciously tightened its grip on the hem of her dress. Seeing her say nothing, Yin sat leisurely on the chair. Suddenly, he felt a little restless in his heart, this familiar feeling again. Immediately after, Yin turned into a puff of smoke. The surrounding objects were suddenly thrown into disarray by him. The three people there were given a scare. Yin, in his wolf form, bristled with anger, his good mood instantly shattered. He turned to stare at Hu Thin, partly oppressive, partly searching, which startled her. A swan howled in dissatisfaction from behind. "Woof, I just cleaned the house today for heaven's sake." Hai also responded enthusiastically with a howl. "This is even more exciting than I imagined." Very quickly after, Yin turned back into a human. Hu Thin analyzed thoughtfully that older sister said before, his transformation into an animal is partly decided by me. And Yin was also looking at Hu Thin at this moment with complex feelings. What was that pressure I just felt? Suddenly, the two of them seemed to have a telepathic connection and realized, as long as Hu Thin's mood is bad, it will cause Yin to transform. Hu Thin silently looked up at him, a glimmer of light finally in her eyes. "So can I use this to save my life?" "I'm saved." Thinking this, Hu Thin's mood immediately became happy and excited. The corners of her lips couldn't help but curve up. The three members of the wolf clan looked at her with somewhat strange expressions. Immediately after, a small, pretty pink flower suddenly sprouted on top of Yin's head. His hair became smooth, even grew longer, and his skin suddenly became better. Yin, at this moment, was incredibly annoyed. He pointed to his head, moved close to Hu Thin, and asked her in a low, threatening voice, "On my head, is there something there?" Hu Thin was scared out of her wits. Her face covered in sweat, she nodded, then shook her head. Yin gritted his teeth, then shouted angrily, "You get your emotions under control for me." But it seemed his threat had no effect. In the blink of an eye, Yin's entire head had sprouted all sorts of flowers from a distance. You'd think he was a walking flower person. He became more and more angry. He reached out to hold Hu Thin's chin, asking in frustration, "What the hell are you so happy about?" Seeing this scene, a swan gloated, "It's hard not to be happy. Ahaha." At this moment, Hai suddenly spoke up, "Little girl, let me see your origin and future." White rays of light from underground were summoned by Hai's consciousness. It pierced through her body. Hai slowly sensed this strange energy. And at this time, Hu Thin was still having her cheek lovingly caressed by Yin, her eyes sparkling, large and unfocused, until drops of blood flowed from Hai's fingers, followed by a wave of pain. Seeing Hai clutch her hand and crouch down, three pairs of eyes immediately turned towards her. A swan called out to her in a bit of panic. "Sister, are you okay?" Hai looked at her own hand in disbelief, sweat beading on her face. After a moment of silence, she answered perfunctorily, "I'm fine." Hu Thin and Yin looked towards Hai, not understanding what was happening. At this moment, Hai looked up, straight into Yin's eyes, raising her eyebrows to signal something to him. Yin fell silent. Then the three members of the wolf clan, without planning it, all looked at Hu Thin like a pack of wolves waiting for their little lamb. Hu Thin's expression darkened in an instant. She swallowed nervously, wondering in confusion, "Why is everyone suddenly looking at me? I didn't do anything." Hu Thin stood like a statue. A moment later, Yin's mocking tone rang out. "Hey, Quail, let's talk." Hu Thin looked up at him, her expression vague. "What's a quail? Is he calling me?" Hu Thin stared at him. She pursed her lips, not knowing where she found the courage to say, "If you want to talk, you have to agree to one thing first." Yin looked at her playfully, letting out an "oh:" "You even know how to set conditions." But he didn't make it difficult for her, and quickly agreed. Hearing this, Hu Thin said boldly, "You can't harm me. You're not allowed to eat me." The reason Hu Thin was so bold was because she knew that gem-like thing must be very important to him. And now, whether he could maintain his current form also depended on her, so maybe she would be safe. Thinking this, Hu Thin said firmly, "If you can do that, then we'll talk." Yin looked at her coolly, silently evaluating her words for a moment, trying to appear dangerous. Then he slowly replied, "Okay." Having gotten the desired answer, Hu Thin became even braver. "Then let's talk." On the outside, she was serious, but inside Hu Thin had started a party, dancing and celebrating like crazy, and as soon as her happy mood hit, a flower had sprouted on a certain someone's head, and then very quickly, a whole bunch of colorful flowers bloomed. Hu Thin was smug. As expected, I guessed right. He agreed himself, "I'm alive, this is great." But Yin, being turned into a pile of flowers, was extremely annoyed. Immediately after, a resentful. Curse echoed in the house. Yin growled through his teeth. Control your emotions for me. Hu Thin cried out, her small face filled with fear. So scary. At the same time, outside, a dark figure not far away was observing the activity inside their house. A moment later, Yin slowly took off his outer shirt and tied it around his waist. Suddenly, he turned and happened to catch Hu Thin's very interested gaze. Yin raised an eyebrow, asking her coolly, "What are you looking at?" Hearing this, Hu Thin looked up at him, frankly asking what she was curious about. "Do you guys also change clothes every day?" Pausing for a moment, she added, "I thought you just wore one set until the end of your life." Yin looked at Hu Thin as if she were a strange creature. He said profoundly, "My desire for your brain is now greater than for your internal organs." He thought to himself, this girl's mind is so weird. As for Hu Thin, after hearing him say those disgusting words, she fell silent. What a pervert. Suddenly, Hu Thin saw Yin stand up and then walk over to turn off the light switch. The whole house was immediately plunged into darkness, which was frightening for a moment. At that moment, Yin reached out and grabbed Hu Thin. Hu Thin screamed in panic. "Wah, what are you trying to do now?" Yin carried Hu Thin outside, saying to the other two, "I'm taking her home." Hu Thin tilted her head and looked at him, confused. "Home?" Then she covered her mouth and giggled. "I can't believe I can go back home." Yin called out to a swan. A swan walked close to them and said in a low voice, "I know, second brother. He's been sneaking around from the very beginning. It's that annoying kid from before." Then the three of them split into two groups. Yin carried Hu Thin and leaped across the houses again, while a swan went to deal with some troublesome matters. From up high, Hu Thin vaguely saw a familiar figure. She strained her eyes to see, just like the two people from before. Are they his kind? Even though I can't see anything clearly, I think that must be it. Yin carried Hu Thin across the houses in the dark night. Hu Thin looked around as a fear rose in her heart. A mysterious world that I once knew, bizarre and scary. But luckily, my little life is safer now. With her mood relaxed, her whole body couldn't help but feel sleepy. In just a moment, Hu Thin was sleeping peacefully on Yin's firm shoulder. Her eyes were tightly shut, but before her consciousness completely faded, Hu Thin secretly hoped, if only this was all a dream. The next morning, gentle sunlight shone into Hu Thin's small, pretty room. She was curled up in bed, sleeping very soundly. Not long after, her biological clock woke her up. Hu Thin slowly opened her eyes. She lay in bed for a while. After her soul returned to her body, Hu Thin suddenly sat bolt upright. She ruffled her hair, flailed her arms and legs, and her consciousness gradually became clearer. Hu Thin was dejected. It wasn't a dream. A moment later, Hu Thin quickly changed her clothes. She gently opened her bedroom window and carefully climbed out onto the roof. She silently recalled, "If he can't be too far from me, then." Very quickly, just as Hu Thin had guessed, Yin was sleeping on a roof not far away. She frowned at him with disgust. As expected, he's here, a lingering ghost, a pervert. After silently cursing him 7,749 times, Hu Thin gently crawled towards him. When she saw his handsome, sleeping face clearly, Hu Thin pondered, "Me, why did I wake up in bed? Because I fell asleep? So he didn't wake me up? Was he that kind?" With that, Hu Thin looked up at the clear blue sky. Then she turned back to continue staring at Yin. It's so bright, and he can still sleep. But she quickly realized, that's right, it seems wolves are nocturnal animals. Midway through her thoughts, Hu Thin discovered another earth-shattering fact. She had an epiphany. Oh right, he has to sleep too. A moment later, Hu Thin thought about the main issue concerning herself. She felt the roof, took out a tile, and thought, if they find a way to get the fragment out, and then don't keep their promise not to eat me, not to harm me, then just like in the movies, while he's fast asleep, aim straight for the heart. At this thought, Hu Thin's hands tightened around the tile, preparing to stab it straight into the person in front of her. Back to the early morning. After Yin brought Hu Thin back, Hai had also come to find them. Hai stood on the roof, surveying the surroundings, sniffing the air. This is the place. When she walked a little closer, she discovered the scene inside the room. Hu Thin was lying curled up on the bed, and Yin was poking her to wake her up, his tone somewhat impatient. "Wake up!" Hai leaned over, surprised. "Oh, she's asleep. This girl has guts." After a struggle, Hu Thin groggily sat up, her eyes tightly shut. Yin looked at her in a low voice, finally awake. "Let's talk." Hu Thin was still dazed. Hearing that she didn't understand anything, said, Talk about what? You're not going to eat me, right?" Yin's face darkened. "I won't eat you." After hearing that, Hu Thin was completely relieved. She decisively dropped back onto the bed and casually went to sleep. Well, good night. Hai stood beside them, wide-eyed. Cool, but Yin's patience had reached its limit. Are you doing this on purpose? Just as he was about to teach this human girl a lesson, Hai soberly stopped him. She told him, calm down, we still need her. Hu Thin curled up and slept soundly. Yin looked at her and fell silent, extremely annoyed but unable to do anything. Then Yin and Hai left the room. Sitting on the roof, at this time Hai spoke up. It's almost dawn. I'll be brief. You have 3 tasks now. First, discover her abilities, find the fragment. Second, take good care of her, keep her in a happy mood. Third, protect her so she doesn't suffer any harm. After hearing this, Yin's face scrunched up. He asked angrily, except for the first one, what are the others from now on? Am I babysitter looking after a 17-year-old kid? Hai looked at him indifferently and asked any objections. Then her tone suddenly became serious. I was originally wondering, how could a normal human find our things? But the fragment in your hand was absorbed by her. And in her body, there's also a part of your body. The fragment chose her and also chose you. So it can only be you. Yin rested his cheek on his hand, his face ashen, grumbling. I thought finding the person was the biggest headache. Who knew the most troublesome thing would be this? It's so meaningless. With that, he gave a sarcastic, disgusted smile. Seeing him like this, Hai raised an eyebrow. You still hate humans that much? Yin replied calmly, I'm not you, sister. The two fell into silence. Hai fiddled with her prayer beads. Suddenly, Yin stood up, remembering to ask, what did you see in her future just now? Hai fell silent. Then in a low voice, emptiness. Yin looked over, slightly astonished, somewhat in disbelief. Hai continued, the house we live in is the ancestral land of our clan. Our powers are strongest when we are there. That means there I can read information about humans most completely. But I couldn't read anything about her future. For a human to have no future, there's only one possibility, and that is death. Back to the next morning, the sky was peaceful and blue, with the occasional chirping of birds. Yin lay on the roof looking at the sky, lost in thought. If Hai's speculation is correct, an accident caused by humans or our own kind. Suddenly, he heard a noise. Yin immediately closed his eyes, pretending to be fast asleep. A wolf's hearing is very sensitive. Through the sound, he knew Hu Thin was approaching him, even when she picked up the tile, intending to stab him. At that moment, Yin suddenly opened his eyes. Then he sat up, intending to deal with this disobedient human girl. But then for some reason, he saw Hu Thin throw the tile away and sit there thinking. Yin stared at her, his eyes like he was looking at a strange creature. You've got to be kidding me. This kid is the strangest human I've ever met. But Hu Thin at this moment still didn't know. Yin was awake. She looked at her hands, muttering, I can't do it. I can't even kill a chicken for the new year. A moment later, Hu Thin looked over and was surprised to meet Yin's amused gaze. His lips curled slightly, his voice low and hoarse. Good morning. Hu Thin jumped, feeling guilty about her failed attempt to harm him, and replied mechanically, good morning, her heart in turmoil. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. He definitely didn't see anything. While Hu Thin was scared to death, Yin suddenly squatted down, looking up at her coolly. Hu Thin instinctively took 2 steps back. Suddenly, he reached out and took her hand. Hu Thin looked at him warily. Yin smiled slightly at her. Then he pressed Hu Thin's hand to his chest, where his heart should have been. They stared at each other, the atmosphere falling into silence. A moment later, Hu Thin's expression changed. Her eyes widened. Yin looked down at her, his voice cold. Feel that? There's nothing beating here. We don't have hearts. Using your methods of ending a life won't kill us, understand? Hu Thin swallowed, silent for a long time. Suddenly, her previously stiff hand moved slightly on Yin's muscular chest, then moved to his arm and rubbed it a few times. Yin immediately frowned and stood up in annoyance, looking at Hu Thin with disgust. What do you mean by that? His reaction was so over the top that anyone watching would think Hu Thin had just molested him, defiled him. Hu Thin stared blankly as he avoided her, saying calmly, no heart, no blood vessels. Then why? Does your skin have color? It should be a pale white. Did you put something on it? Yin looked at her with raised eyebrows, silent for long, while before sneering coldly at Hu Thin. One more time. You're worried about this. My level of astonishment has been raised to the max by you, big dog. Hu Thin was annoyed. What? I'm not a dog. but she quickly let it go and seriously sought an answer to her question again. So, you're actually a ghost. Why do you keep clinging to me? Yin held back. He explained, not exactly a ghost. I'm clinging to you because there's something I need you to do. That is, I hope you can help us find an item. Hyuthin tilted her head in confusion. Then she realized the problem. That's not right. Why do you keep threatening people when you're asking for help? I'm telling you, that's not the attitude to have when you're begging someone. Yin looked at her, his face blank. This kid, she dares to lecture me. Hyuthin suddenly scooted closer to Yin, thinking to herself, but I don't want to get involved in their world. It feels very dangerous. I still have things I really want to do. Thinking this, Hyuthin broke out in a cold sweat and gathered all her courage to probe. What if I don't agree? Yin raised an eyebrow at Hyuthin, smiling with a challenging sneer. You can't escape. The fragment has chosen you. Hyuthin frowned at him. A forced deal? What on earth is that fragment? Hyuthin averted her gaze and started thinking about something. Yin followed every movement on her face. Her eyes started darting around again. She must be thinking of a way to deal with me. Thinking this, Yin was rarely magnanimous. He spoke first. Let's do this. I'll give you a chance to make a wish. Is there anything you desire? I'll help you. Then you help me in return. What you call a transaction, right? Hyuthin was silent, only speaking carefully after a moment. Then, but she stopped after just one word. She carefully studied Yin's expression. That's not right. Why? Would you agree to a deal with me? What if you're tricking me again? Last time he said he'd let me go if I cooperated. Then he took me away because of some fragment. I won't believe him. Yin narrowed his eyes at Hyuthin. He knew what she was planning, so he threatened her directly. Letting you state your wish is to create a bond between us. Otherwise, I can still tie you up to do certain things. It's just a little more trouble. I'll give you 3 seconds to think of a wish or be tied up. Choose one. Hyuthin was in a panic. What? But Yin didn't give her too long to think. He started counting. 1. Hyuthin's eyes widened. Wait, is there no law here? 2. 3. As soon as Yin finished speaking, Hyuthin's hand gripping the hem of her dress turned purple. She bowed her head and shouted, I'll wish. Okay. Yin smiled smugly. Good. Smart choice. Tell me, what do you want? Hyuthin looked at him warily. Then she sighed silently to herself. Forget it. I'll just treat him like a turtle in a wishing well. With that thought, she opened her mouth, spreading her hand out in front of Yin. She said seriously, in that case, please, give me 3 million. The smile on Yin's face gradually twisted. To be honest, he was trying to suppress his anger. I knew this little quail didn't have a single normal thought in her head, but the words that came out of his mouth were extremely calm. He pushed the problem back to Hyuthin. Try something else. You're still so young. Too pragmatic. Hyuthin looked up at him. Although she said nothing, her eyes and expression exposed him completely. You don't have it, do you? Yin's eyebrows shot up, his tone full of sarcastic praise. Impressive. You even know how to write on your face. But Hyuthin paid no mind to his annoyed mood. Continuing to write with her face, he doesn't have it. Seeing that he couldn't handle her, Yin started using a threatening tone again. 1, 2. Hyuthin broke out in a cold sweat, her whole body tensing up. Wait. Then she declared loudly, a home. I want a home and a family. Yin tilted his head, a look of confusion on his face. Then he turned to look at the luxurious villa and mansion next to them, becoming even more puzzled. Isn't this your home? Hyuthin nodded, not denying it. Yes. Yin asked again, do your parents treat you badly? Hyuthin quickly shook her head. No, not at all. They are very good. Yin didn't understand. Then why would you wish for this? Hyuthin lowered her head, her tone somewhat reproachful. Isn't it because you rushed me that this thought suddenly popped into my head? Actually, I just want to be like my friends. To have someone who will listen to me, encourage me, and show up when I need them. Something like that. Hearing this, Yin scoffed. No one treats you like that? Your social skills are terrible. Hyuthin's heart felt like it had been pierced by 1,000 arrows. A truly heart-wrenching pain. Meanwhile, Yin was pondering her words. Playing house? It sounded a lot like what I used to talk about. Yin figured it couldn't be that complicated, so he opened his mouth and agreed directly. Fine, what you just said, I'll do it. Hyuthin was startled to hear this. You'll do it. This is my wish. But I don't want the person to be you, okay? Of course, Hyuthin would only dare to say such a thing if she were very brave. It was just a thought. After calming down, Hyuthin had another thought. It's fine. Let's just go with it for now. Otherwise, he'll just keep nagging and threatening me. Then I'll figure out a way to get rid of him for good. Lost in thought, she suddenly heard Yin's hoarse voice. Now we'll start searching for your ability. Hyuthin looked up blankly. Huh? What ability? Yin asked faintly. Haven't you seen it before? I can make the air move according to my will. I can retrieve related information about thoughts. And as for you, the one who has the fragment, what ability will you have? Don't you want to know? Hugh Thin fell silent. An ability? A superpower like in the movies? Thinking of this, an image of a powerful Hugh Thin appeared in her mind. There was Hugh Thin breathing fire to roast Yin himself, or Hugh Thin spraying water to drown Yin, and Hugh Thin with superhuman strength, defeating Yin in just a few swift blows. The more she thought, the more possible it seemed. Hugh Thin smiled to herself, her eyes darting around restlessly. Yin, standing beside her, raised an eyebrow, not missing a single one of her expressions. Hugh Thin soon couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. How could there be such a good thing? If I learn it, I can escape from him. But at that moment, Hugh Thin didn't know that her joy was someone else's misfortune. Yin's face gradually darkened. His mouth twitched. A pink flower that didn't match his aura grew on his head. It seems she's really looking forward to it. With that thought, he spoke up to remind Hugh Thin, don't get too excited. Even if you learn, you still can't beat me. As he spoke, Yin reached up and aggressively plucked the beautiful flower from his head. Hugh Thin frowned at him. Are you and that person named Hai sure you didn't get your abilities mixed up? Whoever heard of a man sprouting flowers all day like jasmine on a pile of buffalo dung? Of course, Hugh Thin wouldn't dare say these words even if she had 10 lives. She was more cowardly, only daring to glare and question him. Why? I'm telling you, don't just look down on people. Yin leaned in close, lightly touching Hugh Thin's finger, his eyes looking at her provocatively, because when the time comes, the one teaching you will be me if I teach you, and you become good, how could I be any less? Hugh Thin was momentarily stunned, then quickly recoiled, moving away from Yin. She admitted, I'm very cowardly. Yin sneered, let me remind you, right? What were you planning to do with that roof tile just now? Hugh Thin, feeling guilty, fell silent. No way. Weren't your eyes closed? Suddenly, a voice called out from inside the house. Miss Hugh Thin, are you awake yet? Hugh Thin was startled and quickly called out, what is it? With that, Hugh Thin hurried down. She'd be scolded if she was seen climbing on the roof, because she was moving a bit too fast. Plus karma came quickly. Hugh Thin stepped. On the tile she had removed herself. She carelessly lost her balance, letting out a cry as she was about to fall from the high place. Seeing this, Yin was startled. He rushed over and grabbed Hugh Thin by the collar, lifting her up. Hugh Thin let out a breath. I'm saved. Thank you. Yin looked at her helplessly, then carried her and tossed her into her room for good measure, replying faintly, no need to thank me. If you weren't useful, I wouldn't have bothered to help you. Though he said that, he still felt uneasy and reminded her, hold on tight. Hugh Thin, having nearly died of fright, was much more cautious. She hummed in agreement, then also offered her opinion to Yin, you're way too blunt. Seeing that Hugh Thin was safe, Yin let her go and said again, see you at school later. Hugh Thin turned her head, her face blank, what school? Yin turned and walked away. Looks like I have to go back to being a hired hand now. I thought I could leave after finding the person. Hearing this, Hugh Thin remembered, oh right, he's the repairman at my school. Hugh Thin pondered again, that's not right. Something seems to be missing. Immediately after, she figured it out. Suddenly, Hugh Thin reached out with both hands and grabbed Yin's ankle. Yin was startled by this, almost falling flat on his face. He was very angry, but he was angry at her for not paying attention to her own safety. Yin turned back and questioned her fiercely. What are you doing? Just a little carelessness, and this little quail puts herself in danger again. Hugh Thin didn't answer him. Her eyes sparkled. My name is Hugh Thin. You still haven't told me. What's your name? Yin frowned, looking at her as if she were crazy. Just for this? After the confusion passed, Yin turned back, grabbed both of Hugh Thin's wrists with one hand, and pushed her into the room. He leaned down to look at her, replying faintly, Yin? Hugh Thin also looked at him, repeating Yin. Yin said again, nodding. Hugh Thin called his name with delight. Yin? Yin nodded. Correct. After speaking, Hugh Thin's eyes widened as she asked, so Yin, what exactly are you? A ghost? A demon? A monster? A sorcerer? A phantom? Or some kind of magical animal? Yin raised an eyebrow, still not knowing how to explain it to this little quail when the voice of the helper rang out. Miss Hugh Thin, are you still not up? You're going to be late for school. Hugh Thin suddenly turned her head to look at the door, then became rushed. She stood up to go out, coming, I'm up. All right, I have to roll up my sleeves. Yin watched the little girl bustling about and spoke faintly. Hey, I remember your school has a field trip today. Hugh Thin heard the low voice and turned to look towards the window. humming in agreement. At this moment, Yin stood up. He bent over slightly, his gaze perfectly level with Hugh Thin's, his voice carrying a dangerous tone. What are we? You'll know when you get there. 30 minutes later, at the high school, Hugh Thin arrived at her classroom, habitually lifting her foot to step towards her seat. Her usually clean and tidy desk was now covered with scattered pieces of paper. What was noteworthy was the content on them. Psycho, liar, deceitful. If you have a problem with your head, don't come here, and many other pieces of paper, but all with the same content of scolding and insults. Hugh Thin stood frozen, her eyes looking somewhat blankly at the black words on the paper, her mood unreadable. A moment later, she bent down and placed her backpack on the chair, then casually picked up the pieces of paper. It's fine. Regular paper is 3 cents a pound. After a pause, she wondered again, I'm the first one in class. When did they leave this? While Hugh Thin was still dazed, a contemptuous voice came from the classroom door. That idiot is really infuriating. A classmate was injured so badly, yet she kept lying, saying something about an animal turning into a person. You should at least think before you lie, right? At this moment, the classroom door opened. Hugh Thin, who was squatting, looked up at the sound. Another female student continued. Think about what? Haven't you heard? That girl has always had a problem with her head. The other female student asked back, a head injury, right? Because Hugh Thin was small and hidden by the desks, the 2 female students didn't notice her presence. The words that came out were also very harsh. She's crazy. Probably. Why would a crazy person still go to school? What if she has an episode and hurts someone? But Ha Huin said she's faking being stupid. In short, she's both stupid and malicious. Stay away from her besides her family. The 2 female students were engrossed in gossiping when, at that moment, Hugh Thin's somewhat aggrieved voice rang out. I'm not lying. The somewhat chubby female student spoke up, her tone a little anxious from being caught in the act. So all the things we said just now, The female student next to her pursed her lips, frowning at Hugh Thin, then also became annoyed for being too guilty. She stepped forward and criticized Hugh Thin aggressively, as if she were the one in the wrong. So what if you heard? Everyone wrote so many notes for you. Everyone hates you. Can't you reflect on yourself? Hugh Thin stared blankly at her finger, then moved her gaze down to the pile of paper she had just collected, squinting to evaluate them. Everyone, seeing Hugh Thin so calm, the female student became even more furious. What are you looking at? After a moment of comparison, Hugh Thin came to a very objective conclusion. But the handwriting is all the same. All the letter O's are equally round. The other female student, driven mad, had no idea if Hugh Thin knew what the main point was and reminded her fiercely, the important thing is, why did you lie to everyone? You keep saying you're not lying, but an animal turning into a person. Don't you find that absurd yourself? What proof do you have to prove this story is true? Do you think just because the camera is broken, you can say whatever you want? Just because he said a few words, you won't provide any clues at all? Hugh Thin just listened quietly until the word camera reached her ears. Her expression was momentarily stunned. Camera. That's right. The reason reporting to the police didn't work before was precisely because of this, right? As long as I can film him transforming back and forth, I can catch him no matter what. He's a man-eating monster. Yes, find a chance to record it. There's definitely a chance. Hugh Thin was deep in thought, completely forgetting the existence of the people around her, until the female student, who had been so bold in her criticism, suddenly burst into tears of anger, glaring at Hugh Thin. She's starting to ignore people again. She considered herself not to be trifled with, and also didn't like the sight of Hugh Thin. Immediately after, she reached out her hand, about to grab Hugh Thin to teach her a lesson. Hey you. But before she could touch her, a spark suddenly flashed from the light fixture above. The female student stopped her action. Everyone looked up in unison. What's that? Is something wrong with the wiring? But it seemed the female student didn't think it was a big deal and quickly dismissed it. She lowered her head, took a deep breath, and prepared to reach out again to continue teaching Hugh Thin a lesson. Hey, I'm talking to you. However, just like before she could touch Hugh Thin, the sparking LED light suddenly fell, heading straight for the female student. She pulled her hand back, terrified, and quickly ducked, letting out a piercing scream. The sparking end of the LED light suddenly appeared in front of her face, scaring the female student so much her face turned pale. She couldn't breathe, and her limbs went limp, needing the chubby student behind her to support her to stay standing. Hugh Thin was a little surprised at first, but after she saw the ladder outside the window, she vaguely vaguely understood. The latter, it's Yin, is he really helping me? A moment later, she spoke up. Oh, so that's how it is. The two female students were scared to death, their faces as green as banana leaves. They replied in a panic, what? Hugh Thin put on a slightly dangerous expression and said, although it's a bit hard to understand, some things are very likely to happen. After the fear passed, the female student heard this and glared at Hugh Thin again. Gritting her teeth, she said, you shut up, this is just a coincidence. Before she could finish, the electric sparks flashed again, one after another, like fireworks above her head, raining down more intensely than before. The surrounding students were all terrified. Screams rang out, ah, ah, ah. Oh my God. The female student still couldn't believe her eyes wide as if she had seen a ghost. This isn't normal. The chubby student beside her was scared out of her wits and whispered a reminder to her friend. Don't say any more. Let's go back to our seats. The other female student was quite stubborn, not leaving right away, but still had to throw a meaningful sentence at Hugh Thin. You're really not normal. With that, the two of them quickly dispersed. The surrounding classmates also hurried to get out of the way, while Hugh Thin stood there quietly. She pouted, her face not showing much emotion. At the same time, outside, Yin was connecting the electrical circuits. Not long after, Hugh Thin came looking for him. As soon as she saw the person's back, she confirmed her own guess. It really was him. Yin seemed to know she would come looking for him. He turned his head to look, not too surprised as he asked her, was it fun? Hugh Thin looked up at Yin, as if not understanding his meaning. Seeing she didn't answer, Yin continued, weren't you very sad just now? Hugh Thin remained silent. A long time later, she just hummed a very soft yes. Now, it was Yin's turn to be silent. Hugh Thin suddenly felt a little unnatural. She lowered her head to look at her feet and opened her mouth. No, I wasn't that. That's not important except for life and money. Nothing else is important at all. Yin frowned, sneering. You love money that much? Hugh Thin looked up, her clear eyes sparkling. Yes, I like it a lot because I have something I want to do. Yin looked at her with a profound gaze, finding it a little interesting. A moment later, seeing there was nothing more to say, Hugh Thin formally bowed to Yin. In short, I came to thank you. Thank you very much. Yin was nonchalant. No need. I only helped you because I didn't want to revert to my original form here, just in case. Hugh Thin didn't mind much. She just pointed at him and opened her mouth to ask, also, do you need to throw away the thing in your hand? If you want to throw it away, you can throw it away here with me. Yin didn't quite understand, but handed it over. Take it. Hugh Thin, with the spoils in her hand, cherished it greatly and walked away happily. In her mind at that moment, there was only one thing. Sell it quickly. Sell it. Yin watched her from behind, completely not understanding what she was so happy about. But he quickly averted his gaze, looked up and muttered, does this little quail love money that much? With that, he closed his eyes, not knowing what he was thinking, but a moment later he irritably stepped down the ladder. No, I still need to research a way to break the bond, transforming back and forth, with flowers blooming on my head. Who knows what else will be added to my body one day. As he thought, Yin lifted his long legs to walk, but after only 2 steps, the back of his shirt was suddenly pulled by someone. Yin instinctively let out a huh. Hugh Thin spoke. The school field trip, are you going? Yin turned his head to glance at her, confused, a wire held in his mouth, asking with amusement, what, you want me to go with you? Hugh Thin said in a very sincere tone, yes, I hope you'll go. I hope you'll go with me. Yin was stunned, clearly surprised by her directness. Hugh Thin still held onto the hem of Yin's shirt, not letting go, not seeing him reply. She repeated again, I hope you'll go with me. Yin finally showed some reaction. He pursed his lips, raised an eyebrow, then irritably pulled his shirt hem out of Hugh Thin's hand. His tone was full of disdain. Don't develop any unnecessary thoughts of dependency on me. We only have a transactional relationship. With that, without waiting for Hugh Thin to reply, he coldly turned and walked away. Hugh Thin was stunned for a few seconds, then she suddenly spoke up. Family members wouldn't do that to each other. These words reached Yin's ears, making him feel that he must have been crazy at that moment to play this family game with her. He turned back, his eyes profound, asking knowingly, what? Hugh Thin replied calmly, well, if you don't go, I won't be happy. Hearing this, Yin's eyes flashed, his gaze on her like that of a fierce beast. The two of them silently clashed with their eyes. A moment later, Yin lost his patience and lunged towards Hugh Thin like a fierce tiger, and his decisive action made her hair stand on end. Immediately after, Yin brought his 2 large hands up to clamp both sides of her head, his tone threatening. Come here. let me see what's going on in this little head of yours. A tiny human like you dares to threaten me. You're not afraid to say it. You're not afraid of me at all now, are you? Suddenly being constrained made Hugh Thin panic. She knew very well she couldn't fight him and pleaded with all her might. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong. But the other person seemed to have been blinded by anger. Hugh Thin's scalp was pulled taut by Yin. Her two hands clenched as she tried to bend down to escape, but to no avail. Hugh Thin cursed him silently in her heart. Didn't you propose this transaction? The two struggled for a moment when suddenly the voices of some students were heard. What's the first class today? Math. There was still a multiple choice question from yesterday. Hugh Thin was stunned. She looked up at Yin, her heart racing. Students are here. Taking advantage of Yin also being stunned, Hugh Thin quickly squatted down, escaping from his clutches. Heya! Yin was stunned for a moment, his hands suspended in midair. At the same time, Hugh Thin had already run towards a classroom. Not like a plea, but a statement. You must be there. In her heart, she was secretly planning. This way, I'll have a chance to take a picture of him transforming. Yin, from behind, didn't chase after her, calling out to her in a low voice. Hey! Hugh Thin reached the door, and before entering the classroom, she suddenly turned her head to look at Yin. At this moment, he had already turned and was walking in the opposite direction, leaving her with just a glimpse of his sturdy back. But, I clearly feel they are very strong. Threatening would be easier than making a deal. Strange creatures. The next day, high school number 40 had rented a bus to take the students to the field trip location. Upon arrival, the teacher's forceful voice rang out. Everyone line up by class. After the class president takes attendance, we will start touring the ruins. Please hurry up. Hugh Thin stepped off the bus, her eyes glued to the scene before her. This is the place, Yin had said. This is the place to understand what they really are. The students, rarely getting to go out and play, gathered in groups of 3 or 5, each and every one of them extremely excited. Wow, it's so beautiful. That's right. Hurry and take pictures. We have to take a lot of pictures later. Only Hugh Thin stood alone. It seemed no classmate wanted to play with her. A moment later, the teacher came over, clapping her hands to get the students' attention, and seriously instructed. All right, students, line up by class. Today we will explain and tour the ruins. Then in the afternoon, we will have a group activity. After that is free time for individual activities. Everyone can tour as they please. Pay attention to safety. We will gather back here around 5 o'clock. Is everyone clear? Yes. The clear, excited voices of the students rang out. The teacher's words kept ringing in her ears, yet Hugh Thin didn't hear a single word. She scanned her eyes from bottom to top, as if looking for someone. A moment later, she lowered her head, a little disappointed in her heart. He didn't come. She pondered again. Being too far from me will prevent him from maintaining his human form. As he said, how far is that? This place is probably quite far from the school. After struggling for a while, Hugh Thin finally gave up and sighed. Forget it. I can't take a picture. Hugh Thin started to move with the crowd, thinking to herself, I don't know how long I'll have to wait for a chance. The teacher's voice rang out again. All right, students, this is the ruin of the god's dwelling. Hugh Thin kept her head down, walking aimlessly, until a pigeon's wing brushed past her face. Brushed by its soft feathers, Hugh Thin instinctively squeezed her eyes shut, but very quickly she slowly opened them again. Hugh Thin's eyes widened at the sight before her. In my 17 years of life, today, I finally truly feel the meaning of the word shocking. This thing seems to be alive right before my eyes. The teacher's narration continued. According to the local ethnic minorities' folklore, this is the dwelling place of a god. The god divided his heart among his followers who worshipped him. The heart brought talent to people, helping them to drive away man-eating demons, rampant plagues, and end 100 years of disaster. Due to a disagreement with the gods of other cultures, this god sits with his back to humans, because legend says he is very compassionate and cannot bear to see their suffering. Hugh Thin continued to look up intently. The world became empty. Her heart was strongly struck. A split second, a moment. All the sounds in the world disappeared, leaving only one sound, a very familiar sound. That sound said, Hu Ting? Ah yes. Hugh Thin was startled, instinctively shouting out loud. The teacher, seeing this inattentive behavior of hers, became even more annoyed and began to lecture. Your mind is already slow, yet you don't pay attention. If you do it again, write me a reflection paper after the tour. Hugh Thin bowed her head in embarrassment, whispering softly, I'm sorry. The teacher didn't make it difficult for her and continued to let the other students tour the ruin. The students followed one another inside. The teacher spoke again. Everyone look up. You can see many kinds of birds. It's speculated that they represent freedom. Hugh Thin looked up. Then she was a little surprised. Oh, what is that? The statue of the god is crying. Is it crying because of compassion? Then he must be a very kind god. The students were gathered together. The teacher loudly instructed. All right, quiet. After touring the ruins, we will participate in a group activity. The location is in the nearby area. A female student heard this and wondered. Teacher, is it the three-legged race that we practiced a few days ago? The teacher nodded. Yes. After a pause, she said again, get ready, we're taking a picture. The chubby female student spoke up. Is there a prize? The teacher replied again, yes. With that, she took out a stack of tickets. Here, tickets to tour the entire ruins. The students were excited, buzzing like a broken beehive. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We can play all the games here for free, guys. In the crowd, Hugh Thin's eyes shone brightly. Combo tickets. The most expensive one is 280 yuan. She secretly shed a tear. I've really struck it rich. A moment later, the teacher gave the signal. Everyone line up. Get ready to start. Yes. A clear shout rang out. Hugh Thin looked at the group of 3 female students, and the 3 of them were also looking at her. Hugh Thin naively reached out her hand to signal. Hi, let's link arms. Seeing this, the 3 female students suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, but reluctantly accepted because of the group activity. Very quickly, the competing teams were ready in their positions. Everyone was listening intently for the command. Ready, set, go. The red flag was waved down. Hugh Thin's team trudged forward, their steps in rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2. But they hadn't gone far when on the other end, 2 classmates were not walking in sync and stepped on each other's feet. One sound. Right after that, a group of female students all panicked, swaying as if about to fall. Hua Thin glanced over. They started to blame each other. For real, we've practiced so many times, but you always trip me. Isn't it because your speed can't keep up with others? It's a group activity. Why are you taking such wide steps? Isn't it because I want to be a little faster? Hua Thin heard them arguing back and forth and started to get anxious. No, this is not the time to argue. Hey. Seeing other teams pass them one by one, Hua Thin suddenly found the courage, shouting loudly. 1. A group of female students turned to look at her, bewildered. Hua Thin saw that she had gotten their attention, pointed down at their feet, and said a few important words. Quick, this leg, you guys pay attention. We're almost out of tickets. The other classes have already run far ahead. Then she pointed towards the line of another class, and the group of students snapped out of it. That's right. Hurry up. Watch each other's steps. Hua Thin retracted her gaze, her eyelashes fluttering slightly. They listened to me. Suddenly, the arm next to her tightened its grip on her arm. Hua Thin was a little flustered, although she wasn't very used to it. Hua Thin's team trudged forward again. 1, 2, 1, 2. Steady feet. The team in front tripped. Take this chance to the finish line. After crossing the finish line, Hua Thin's whole body was still giddy. A miracle. She suddenly felt this victory was too easy. The students around her were smiling happily, high-fiving each other. Hua Thin was curious. She also raised her hand, telling herself, let's give it a try. But she had just put it out a little when the few students next to her skipped away, joyfully shouting, get the prize, get the prize. Hua Thin's hand was left hanging in the air. Limp, she sighed. Experiment failed. I knew it. The power of the ticket. Aren't they going to continue the argument from just now? Hua Thin lowered her eyes to look at her hand. Suddenly at this moment, a large hand reached out, slapping her palm, a warmth at her back, followed by a deep voice. Silly, what are you holding your hand out for? Hua Thin's eyes widened. She turned her head in surprise. What met her eyes was the cold side profile of that person. You're here. Yin Chi grunted in acknowledgement. Hua Thin felt the warmth remaining in her palm. Hand. She looked at him without blinking. Someone high-fived me. Before she could be moved for 2 seconds, Hua Thin's expression towards Yin changed in a flash. She shrank back, asking in confusion. Why are you here? Yin looked at her, an impatient expression on his face. Of course I'm here for you, to fulfill your duty. He suddenly curled his lips into a smile. Don't tell me you were planning to make a bunch of requests, and then not do what you're supposed to do. Hua Thin was speechless. In her heart, she had an answer. Actually, I really want to do that. But Yin was used to this expression of hers. With one look he knew. Oh, guessed right again. Yin quickly left, not bothering to ask for her opinion, just leaving a few sentences behind. You girls are staying here tonight, right? Come find me at the back gate tonight. Let's find out what your ability really is. Hua Fin asked back, can we go to the statue of the god? Yin's footsteps suddenly stopped. Hua Fin spoke again. I really like that god statue. The statue is beautifully carved, very approachable. Suddenly Yin got angry. Shut up. Just 2 words made Hua Fin jump, looking at him in confusion. Yin turned his head. His bloodshot eyes carried a murderous aura. The surroundings suddenly turned cold. Not there. It's bad luck. Hua Fin watched his departing back, thinking to herself. Yin, when he said that, was very much like the vicious Yin when I first met him. Night fell in a small hotel arranged by the school for the students, specifically in a certain room. Hua Fin wasn't sleeping, but was tossing and turning in her blanket. After waiting a little longer, Hua Fin poked her head out to observe. Her roommates were all asleep. Time for action. Hua Fin gently got out of bed, her feet fumbling around to search. Couldn't see anything. Where are my shoes? After a while, Hua Fin finally managed to put on her shoes. When she looked up again, her eyes inadvertently saw a glowing butterfly through the window frame. Hua Fin was surprised. So beautiful, a glowing butterfly. Does this kind of butterfly exist? While still mesmerized, the butterfly suddenly flew away. Hua Fin was regretful. It flew away, don't it's too beautiful. I still want to look, that is, the opposite direction of the back gate. She made up her mind. I'll follow it to have a look, take a few pictures, then come back. Just for a moment, Yin probably won't be angry. Hua Fin quickly chased after it, running with her phone pointed at the sky. So beautiful. It's really so beautiful. Suddenly, Hua Fin's photo-taking motion stopped. She looked at her phone screen, then raised her head to look outside. The god statue. I wasn't paying attention and ended up here. Hua Fin really liked the god statue. She put down her phone and said sincerely, "Hello, God. We are truly fated." Not far away, where Hua Fin didn't notice, that butterfly gradually dissipated into the air, slowly turning into a demon. Its mouth mumbled, "Heart, heart." The demon couldn't perceive colors. It could only see the black shadows of objects. And to it, the only thing with light was Hua Fin's heart. In the quiet night, the demon suddenly raised its head, bared its fangs, and opened its mouth, roaring, "Heart." Hua Fin's whole body trembled. Her back went cold. She mechanically turned her head towards the source of the sound. What was that? The sound, so horrifying. The next second, the demon charged aggressively. Hua Fin retreated in panic. Fresh blood splattered on the ground. The demon continuously swung its claws toward Hua Fin. Hua Fin, terrified, fled while watching to dodge its attacks. The demon followed her closely, repeating, "Heart." Hua Fin ran forward with her eyes shut. So fast, this time, there's no escape. Why do I encounter monsters every time? This thing, Yin, is the same. Just as she thought this. A wisp of black smoke swept past, shielding Hua Fin. Hua Fin's eyes widened in surprise, watching Yin's wolf form biting tightly onto that demon, only letting go when it lay motionless. The demon lay on the ground, dissolving into a wisp of smoke before it returned to its original butterfly form. Remembering the scene just now, even Yin's legs had a tremble. Is this the reason she's scared? The power that had always existed was drained away. Just now, when looking for her, his sense of taste and hearing were all very slow. Hua Fin was panting. Suddenly there was a sound. Yin's blood-red eyes flickered up, and Hua Fin noticed it too. She looked up. There were butterflies all around. She didn't understand. It was like this on all 4 sides. If every single butterfly could turn into a monster, what on earth is it that there are so many? Yin stepped forward, saying coldly, "Didn't you just come to a conclusion? Like me, that monster." The black smoke thinned. Yin transformed back into a human. He continued, them. "We all exist the same way. We are the same kind." Hua Fin's eyes were dazed. "You guys, what on earth are you?" And the demons in front of them were increasing in number, each one frantically repeating, "Heart, heart." Suddenly a wind blew around them, gathered by Yin into his palm, forming a pillar of light that looked very much like blood. His eyes looked viciously at the demons. "We are beings whose hearts were stolen by your god, lives that originally existed at another end of the world." Hua Fin found it a bit unbelievable. Stolen, another end of the world. She remembered what her teacher said in the morning. But in the legends, he offered his heart to humanity, helping humans to drive away. Yin glanced at her a little mockingly. "Drive away demons. Plagues, that was all us." Hua Fin was stunned. Yin continued faintly, "Demons, monsters, even the plagues in your legends. Things that don't fit with your perception, lives that couldn't possibly exist. Magic, witchcraft, metaphysics, things that cannot be named are all us. Stealing our hearts, making us disappear from this world, then using those hearts to hunt us down to the last one. Then he gets worshipped, believed in, achieving fame and success. The great God in your mouths is just a petty person who lies without batting an eye. After saying that, Yin slammed the hand with the red pillar of light onto the ground. The rays of light gradually seeped down. The wind howled, enveloping the pillar of light, and at the same time creating a force that pushed back the surrounding demons. The demons flew out, lying motionless. Hua Thin was astonished that they all fell so powerful. But not long after, fear struck again. More butterflies are flying here. Watching the butterflies gradually take form, Hua Thin retreated in panic, her voice trembling. Are there more? One batch falls, and a new batch arrives. Can Yin fight them off alone? Yin didn't answer. Clutching his chest, he suddenly let out a pain sound. Ugh. Hua Thin tilted her head, asking worriedly, what's wrong with you? Yin was silent, his eyes looking coldly at the demons. There are too many. Continuing like this is not a solution. Pausing for a moment, he glanced over at Hua Thin. The important thing is I can't bring her along while the next wave of attacks hasn't arrived. Thinking this, Yin opened his mouth. Under Hua Thin's attentive gaze, he faintly said a shocking sentence. Take off your clothes. Hua Thin was stunned. It took a moment for her to panic. She hugged her body, hastily backing away. What? Yin looked at her as if she were sick, and very presumptuously started pulling off Hua Thin's outer jacket. Hua Thin was forced, compelled. What are you trying to do? In an instant, the jacket was pulled off, and at the same time, something was put around her neck. Hua Thin looked down, somewhat surprised looking at the claw-shaped stone. Yin has always worn that necklace. While she was dazed, Yin explained, they are targeting your heart. This can hide your scent. Leave the jacket here. While they haven't successfully transformed, it can confuse them for a moment. Go through the forest, over this mound, to find Swan. If you meet her, then stay by her side. Run. Yin roared the last word very loudly, as if giving Hua Thin an order, not allowing her to refuse. Hua Thin stared at his back. These monsters are very persistent. From the very beginning, I felt that Yin was very weak. By the time I go call for reinforcements, I'm afraid it will be too late. Who knows? Yin will lose his life. No, I have to think of a way. I have to think of some way. Suddenly the demon's roar made Hua Thin jump. She thoughtfully looked at the butterfly. This form, it's not a butterfly, it's a moth. Yin's true form is a wolf. He always mentions taste, touch, which also means they have corresponding biological characteristics. The characteristic of a moth is... A scene suddenly flashed in Hua Thin's mind. Her eyes widened. That's right, their weakness is fire. Thinking this, Hua Thin called out loudly, Yin, I have a way, we don't need to fight them head on anymore. Yin turned his head in surprise. Right at this moment, the demon suddenly charged, lunging towards Hua Thin. Yin reacted in time, raising his hand to grab its throat and stop the demon, accidentally letting its claw scratch him, leaving a bloody mark below his eye. Yin pushed the demon back, controlling it with one hand. While his other hand was behind him watching over Hua Thin, his ice-cold voice rang out. Don't you understand human language? Yin turned back fiercely, scolding harshly. I told you to go, so go quickly. You staying here is nothing but trouble. Hua Thin lowered her head, disappointment in her eyes. Yin looked forward again, saying loudly, Run now, do as I say, our fragment is still on you. If anything happens, I'll come find you to settle the score. Hua Thin looked at his back, only speaking after a long while. Okay, I'll cause you more trouble, sorry. As soon as she finished speaking, she turned and ran away. Yin turned his head to look in the direction she left, for some reason feeling a little regretful. It seems he was a bit too harsh. But that was nothing compared to her safety. Yin turned his head. In front of him, the demons were advancing one after another, like a procession. Hua Thin ran out of the god's ruins, the voices of the demons still echoing in the dark night. Heart, heart! Hua Thin ran faster and faster. By the time she climbed a few steps, her strength was nearly exhausted. She squatted down, her legs still trembling, panting heavily. Hua Thin turned her head to look towards the ruins, silently sighing in relief. Finally escaped. It was like a nightmare. But when she turned her head to continue running forward, Hua Thin suddenly felt an emptiness in her heart. Something was silently being lost. At the same time, thanks to the scent on Hua Thin's outer jacket, Yin had lured the demons up the mountain. He knocked them down one after another. The sound of growling and flesh being torn in the night was truly terrifying to anyone. Yin stepped on the pile of bones, looking fiercely at the demons. It's still not over. The number is abnormally large. Suddenly, Yin let out a cry, raising his head again. His eyes were blood red. Before my eyes is. Hai's image suddenly appeared. So the situation right now, a part of your body and the fragment were taken by this little girl. Once you're too far from her, you can't even maintain your human form. Yin shook his body to clear his head. The demons swarmed in layers upon layers, enveloping him. What kind of joke is this? Yin's gaze pierced through them, vaguely seeing a faint flame. What's over there? Fire. In the dark night, the reddish glow of the fire was incredibly bright. A human voice shouted, "Over there! Found it! Catch it and burn it to death." The stinging voices of the people echoed throughout the mountain. Yin weakly clawed at the ground, baring his teeth and looking towards them. The group of people quickly threw a steel net to capture him. Yin struggled violently, his whole body quickly covered in wounds. Not the same. Why is it not like before? No matter what, I must first find Mother, then take Mother with me. While he was thinking, a knife stabbed towards him. The voices around him continued unabated. No, we have to skin it, then place it next to its mother's head. Upon hearing these words, the light in Yin's eyes gradually faded, tears spilling from the corners of his eyes. He watched helplessly as that person held the sharp tip of the knife and stabbed into his flesh. Kid, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being born a half-breed. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. Yin's consciousness gradually faded. Every time he saw fire, he would remember the desperate scene of that day. Yin sneered. The next second his eyes suddenly flew open, his pupils shaking. It's not a dream. Hua Fin appeared before his eyes. She was riding a bicycle, holding a torch in her hand, calling out to him. Because of this call, the demons also noticed her. In his heart, Yin silently cursed. This foolish girl, what did you come back for? The demons swarmed and turned their heads, heading in Hua Fin's direction, mumbling in their mouths. Light, fire, firelight. Hua Fin was a little surprised, but seeing the demons getting closer and closer, she calmed down, controlling the bicycle, silently feeling lucky. It really works. Hua Fin pedaled faster. It's just ahead. Quick, quicker. The demons followed her closely. Hua Fin pursed her lips. Even faster, it's right here. Hua Fin swung her arm backwards, forcefully throwing the wooden stick into the pile of dry firewood ahead. The dry wood quickly caught fire. In a flash, it was blazing fiercely. Hua Fin's eyes widened as she looked at the only source of light in the night. Also the only thing that could save them. It's burning. This should be useful. The demons just ignored her, swarming like moths into the fire. Hua Fin was exhausted, holding her head and sitting there without noticing a claw about to reach for her. At this moment, the familiar black smoke rushed over, wrapping around Hua Fin. Yin propped himself up with one hand on the ground, his other hand lifting her entire body up. Hua Fin was surprised. Yin? Hearing her call, Yin lifted his eyes for a glance. Don't cause me more trouble. Is this the method you were talking about? Hua Fin's eyes stared at him, saying nothing, but her face clearly showed. Praise me, praise me. Yin was silent. He was truly speechless. Hua Fin spoke again. You said, as long as it's effective. Yin didn't pay attention to her words, fiercely condemning. Daring to bring fire up the mountain? You've got guts. Lucky you started the fire in an open field. Hua Fin jumped. Her face went blank. Only now did her arrogance recede, and she began to panic. I was this close to rotting in jail? A disaster. Yin behind her looked at the little girl's appearance. His lips tugged up slightly. You should think about how to get back. The bicycle is crushed, and I'm very weak now. I can't carry you. As soon as he finished speaking, Hua Fin replied decisively. Not going. Yin raised his eyelids to look at her. Hua Fin met his gaze, speaking clearly. I'm not going anywhere. You can rest assured, I'll stay by your side. Yin just stared blankly at Hua Fin, as if to see how trustworthy her words were. Hua Fin continued to chirp in his ear. If something strange approaches, I'll call you. Then she pointed to the cliffside next to them. Wait until tomorrow morning when there are cars on the road. I'll help you. Go find Swan. His name is Swan. Right? Can he save you? Pausing for a moment, she turned again. Also, the monster corpses, huh? Hua Fin was stunned. The fire from before had burned out, and the bodies of the demons had also dissipated into light, floating in the air. Hua Fin followed them with her eyes. The bodies have dissipated, half flew up, half fell down. The air gradually became cold. This terrifying creature is so beautiful when it dies. Hua Fin kept staring at the specks of light, while Yin's gaze was glued to her. After a long while, he spoke indifferently. You don't need to worry about me. Just one night, I can recover on my own. Pausing for a moment, he added sarcastically, I thought you really wanted something to happen to me? Hua Fin went along with his intention, humming in firm agreement. As he expected, yet someone couldn't stand to hear it, his face scrunching up like a monkey's. What? Hua Fin was frank. When I returned to town, I did think it would be good if you were eliminated. I would be free, although that thought was only fleeting. Moreover, you don't listen to me. You do completely as you please, which makes me very angry. But thinking it over, you have helped me a lot. Pausing for a moment, Hua Fin pointed a finger at her temple and said again, This place of mine was injured before, so I speak a little haltingly. Sometimes when I want to think of something, it's a bit slower than usual. Because of that, people say I'm stupid. Hua Fin looked up at Yin, saying clearly, But good intentions, I can feel them, although I know you have your own purpose. But you did those things, my life was saved by you, so I want to do something for you. I want you to live. Yin was clearly surprised by her words. He retracted his gaze, turned his head, the corners of his lips curling up, trying to maintain his cold, fierce image. He trembled from holding back his laughter. She always surprises people. Hua Fin heard his voice was different and asked doubtfully, Hey, are you laughing? Yin's whole body trembled, trying to hold it in and hold it in. After a long while, he finally turned his head, looked straight into Hua Fin's eyes, and said with a smile, You're not stupid, you're very smart. On the contrary, I underestimated you. Hua Fin was stunned, unable to believe it. You, what did you say? You, say it again. Yin propped himself up to stand, intending to refuse. Good words are not said twice. But regardless of whether he said it or not, with a pop, his entire body was buried under a pile of colorful flowers. Of course, Hua Fin must have been very proud to make him so miserable. Yin transformed into his wolf form. He shook, shaking off the mess of flowers and grass on his body. Just being gentle for a moment gets you cursed. Gore can't easily praise this quail. But the culprit Hua Fin had not yet realized the seriousness of the problem, happily exclaiming, Whoa, every time I see it I feel it's so magnificent. Yin ignored her, walking past her. Hua Fin called him. Hi, Yin. Yin lay down quietly. Hua Fin continued to negotiate. Yin, say it again, the part where you praised me for being smart. Yin didn't answer. Hua Fin patiently said, Then I'll ask you something else. AI, you really didn't think that they like light? That's strange. You should know this better than I do. Is it true that you guys have many other species? Oh, and are there turtles? Do they eat people? So you ho-oh. Yin truly lived up to the name of having a human face and a beast's heart. His wolf face was strangely foul. To force Hua Fin to shut up, he wrapped his tail around her and pulled her whole body into his arms, sternly ordering, Shut up, go to sleep. When you wake up tomorrow morning, I'll take you home. Otherwise, you can wait for a car yourself, understand? Hua Fin struggled to escape from Yin's embrace. While rubbing back and forth, she was very surprised. So soft, so warm. Actually, it seems I'm not just grateful to him. That feeling is a bit stronger than gratitude. Probably because at those times, he gives me a feeling that makes me truly crave it. Thinking this, she opened her mouth again. Hey, Yin, you go ahead and sleep. Don't worry. I'll stay awake. Yin was already annoyed. Shut up. Hua Fin obediently. Oh, the winter night descended. Countless tiny snowflakes fell. Yin curled Hua Fin into his fur. His body was already covered in a layer of snow, but he still kept her warm. But the peace didn't last long. In the dark night, Yin's blood-red eyes lit up once again. He raised himself up slightly, looking fiercely at the person in front. AI, a swan, upon seeing Yin, excitedly exclaimed, Hello, big brother. I told you so. Seeing the flying powder, I felt something wasn't right. I ran over and saw you like this. A swan giggled at someone else's pain while Yin was silent, just intently watching Hua Fin, who was sleeping soundly with her head tucked into his fur. A swan chattered on. Huh, you're injured? After a pause, he asked again. Because of her? Yin replied flatly. It's better now. Hua Fin wasn't disturbed. She turned over a little and felt a shiver of cold. So she had to turn back and grab Yin's tail, curling up to continue sleeping. Yin was speechless, and she had the nerve to say she'd watch over me while I sleep. And a swan, seeing this action of Hua Thin's, suddenly burst out laughing gloatingly, echoing throughout the mountain. Ha ha ha, having to watch over this girl all day. It's really been hard on you, Wolf. Ha ha. No wonder you used to run around everywhere looking for a way to break the bond. There's a way. Yin's eyes suddenly widened, rarely listening so seriously. A swan said, Sister found some records in the books. Actually, there have been gatekeepers before, not just one, it's just that person died. A few years later, another one appeared. Remember, Sister once did a divination for her. She has no future. A dead person has no future. When the life disappears, the heart fragment will automatically break free. Surprising, isn't it? Simple, isn't it? It's just a matter of how you choose. I know very well you despise her. Yin suddenly cut him off, saying coldly, No need. A swan was astonished, thinking he had misheard. Huh. Yin transformed back into human form, holding Hua Thin. He looked at her and said nonchalantly, Not for now. It's not easy to meet someone so simple-minded. On the contrary, it's very interesting. A swan was doubtful, repeating in confusion. Simple-minded. Right after that, he suddenly acted as if he understood. Oh, I get it now. Simple-minded, easy to mold. Skillfully using them can help us achieve our great cause. That's what they say in the movies. Yin helped Hu Thin up. She drowsily heard the voices but couldn't open her eyes, mumbling in her sleep. Mold what? Yin gently patted her. Hey, wake up. We're home. At the same time, he was busy teaching that wolf a lesson. He kicked a Xian. Shut up. What kind of weird movies have you been watching again? A Xian seemed to be immune to his brother's blows, casually replying, The art of wellness after 30. The human heart is hard to fathom. A while later, back at the small student hotel, Hu Thin painfully took out all her money. This should be enough, my money. Hick. She placed it on the security guard's desk. Although he was sleeping, she still sincerely apologized. Sir, I'm sorry. The bicycle is lost. After that, Hu Thin, wearing Yin's jacket, tried to gently and stealthily dash inside. I have to get back quickly. It'll be big trouble if I'm discovered. Yin, from behind, watched her like this. As if things weren't chaotic enough, he said in a flippant tone, Hey, remember to come find me after school. Don't run off. Hu Thin jumped, frantically turning her head to signal him. Shoo, be quiet. Don't get me in trouble. Yin looked at her without replying, his expression looking very punchable. Hu Thin was in a hurry, so she ignored him, rushing straight ahead. Running is the best policy. Yin's eyes followed her, and he suddenly let out a laugh. After Hu Thin was gone, Yin turned to leave, looking around once. Next, which rooftop should I go lie on for a bit? I should still keep watch. I don't know if what Hai saw was affected by the fragment, but it's better to be careful. Suddenly, an angry voice rang out. Hu Thin. Yin's footsteps paused for a moment. He listened intently. Hu Thin called out in surprise. Dad. Yin was also quite surprised. She really got caught? Why is her dad here? She could just find some excuse to smooth things over. Just as he thought that, a loud, resounding slap echoed. So loud it was startling. Yin's gaze flickered. He turned his head. It was the sound of a slap.